Hello everyone, I'm Asha Best. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all are safe. My dear children, today I welcome you all in class 6 history, 6th chapter, new questions and ideas. In this chapter we'll understand about the teachings of Gautam Buddha, his life story. We'll also understand about Jainism, the founder of Jainism, and about the special teachings of Jainism. We'll also discuss about sanghas, monasteries, and we'll also come to know about the system of ashramas in this chapter. So let us begin. Dear students, Siddhartha, also known as Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, was born about 2500 years ago. He belonged to a small Gana known as the Sakya Gana and was a Kshatriya. When he was a young man, he left the comforts of his home in search of knowledge. Buddha's childhood name was Siddhartha. He was also famous and known as Gautama. He founded the religion of Buddhism and he was born 2500 years ago. Dear students, he belonged to Sakyagana. He was a Kshatriya, and in earlier chapter we understood about the Varna system, in which we knew that Kshatriya used to fight wars, battles. They used to protect their kingdom from invaders. When he was a young man, he left the comforts of his home. At early age, Gautam Buddha decided to conclude his own path to realization and meditation for days. He meditated under peepal tree for many days to get enlightenment. While he left his home, he wandered for several years here and there, and he meditated too for days and on end under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya in Bihar, where he attained enlightenment. When he left his home at early age, he just came in a close association with many great thinkers of that time. He wanted to know about the truth of life. He discussed his questions, his queries with many of these thinkers. And finally, he decided to find out the true meaning of life at his own. So, for many years, he meditated. For many days, he meditated under a peepal tree at Bodh Gaya, and this was the only place where he got the knowledge, he got enlightenment. And after getting enlightenment, he became famous as Buddha, which means the wise one. After getting enlightenment, he went to Sarnath, that is near Varanasi, and he taught for the first time at Sarnath, near Varanasi. He had taken his last breath at Kushinara. He died at Kushinara. He spent, after getting enlightenment, he didn't remain at one place. He spent rest of his life traveling from one place to another on foot only. And while he was traveling from one place to another, he was giving knowledge to other people also. He was involved himself in teaching people, and he continued with this till he passed away at Kushinara. The Buddha taught that life is full of sufferings and unhappiness, which is caused because we have cravings and desires. So Gautam Buddha told his in his teachings that whatever sufferings we face, whatever pain we face, that is all because of our desires. Because we want many things at a time. This is the only reason that we became sad frequently. We became unhappy. He also told that this is formed because our desires are endless. We want everything in our life. He had defined it as the quest of many things. He also said that thirst or tanha, and he had teach other people also continuously that we should remove our desires to be happy, or we should limit them so that we can attain enlightenment in life. The Buddha taught in the language of the ordinary people so that everybody could understand that. He basically used Prakrit so that everybody understands it and his messages. He also told people, Gautam Buddha also told people that they should be kind and should give equal respect to each one in the society. And they should also start living for others. They should be kind not only for human being but also for the animals. He also said that whatever we receive, that is all because of our karma, whether good or bad. These all we face just because we have done something like that. So, whatever we do, we receive, as a result, we receive the same thing. So, our actions later on decides that what we are going to get at the end of our life. Now, Upanishads. These were part of the later Vedic text. Upanishads literally means approaching and sitting near. They describe the Atma or the individual soul and the Brahman or the universal soul that ultimately were one. There were other thinkers also. They had tried to find uh, uh, find out answers of different questions, like what is there after death? Is there any life after death? Performing of ritual sacrifices, all these they discussed that whether these things should be done or not. According to these great thinkers, if something that lasts even after death, and they had named it Atma. If a person dies, his body gets decayed, but the Atma remains same, or the individual soul and the Brahman or worldwide soul, and also believe that both the Atma and the Brahman were one. These concepts were recorded in Upanishads, and they were known as Vedic text, which gives us knowledge about earlier Vedas. Most Upanishadic thinkers were men, especially Brahmins and Rajas. There were also few women thinkers such as Gargi, who was famous for her learning and participated in debates held in royal courts. So basically, at that point of time, the thinkers about whom we study in Upanishads, they were specially male people of the society, as well as they were Brahmins and Rajas. Women's were not very much recognized in Upanishads, but there were few exceptional cases also, like Gargi. They were famous learners, and these women, especially Gargi, she participated in most of the debates which took place in the royal courts. Now let us talk about Jainism. Vardhamana Mahavira, a most famous thinker of the Jainas, was a contemporary of Buddha. Vardhaman Mahavira was a prince of Kshatriya Lichavis, a group which was part of the Vajji Sangha. So the last and 24th Tirthankaras of the Jainas, Vardhamana Mahavira, was the most famous among all thinkers. He was a Kshatriya prince, like we discussed about Gautam Buddha, he was also a Kshatriya. So, Mahavira was also a Kshatriya prince of the Lichavis, a group that was a part of the Vajji Sangha. Followers of Mahavira, who were known as Jainas, had to lead very simple lives, begging for food. So, this was the special thing, that those who used to follow Jainism, they used to lead a very simple life. They used to leave all their desires, all their comforts, and they that point of time they needed to live a very simple life, leaving all the comforts behind. They had to be absolutely honest and were specially asked not to steal. Means these were the characteristics of the followers of Jainism, that they need to be honest with themselves as well as with others, and they were not allowed to steal anything. They used to be very honest. Now, his simple policy, if we talk about Mahavira, his simple policy was men and women who wished to know the truth must leave their homes. This was the thought, or this was the important policy of Jainism, that if we want to attain enlightenment, if we want to know the truth of life, it cannot be achieved at home. To achieve this knowledge, we should leave our home, we should leave all the comforts, and also have to follow strict rules of Jainism. Like earlier also I said, they need to be honest, they need to be you can say, they need not to steal anything from anywhere. Okay, they need to strictly follow the rules of ahimsa. They need to harm, and they need not to harm anyone, they need not to hit anyone, they need to follow ahimsa. Means they cannot just put, or you can say take any weapon. They should be loving, they should be caring for each one of the human being as well as for the animals. It means that they should not hurt or kill anyone, any living being. Jainism was supported mainly by traders, those who used to trade from one place to another. So these were the followers of Jainism. Over hundreds of years, Jainism spread to different parts of North India, to the Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka. The teachings of Mahavira and his followers were transmitted orally for several centuries. So, for 100 years, Jainism used to spread in different parts of North India. There were many followers of Jainism. They used to follow Jainism. And Mahavira, his teachings, people used to transmit the knowledge given by Mahavira orally that point of time. They were not having any written, you can say, they were not able to write, or that point of time they were not having that much resources to pen down, or you can say keep their teachings saved in written format. So that time they used to convey, or they used to transmit the knowledge orally, and for several years, several centuries, it continued. They were written down in the form in which they were presently available at a place called Vallabhi in Gujarat about 1500 years ago. About 1500 years ago, people started to write it, and they were now available at this place which is in Gujarat. Now let us talk about Sanghas. The Mahavira and Buddha, they both felt that only those who left their homes could gain true knowledge. Means if you are remaining at home and you want to attain enlightenment, it is not at all possible. You need to leave your home to get knowledge. And they decided for them to stay composed in the sanghas. Means they used to live in sanghas so that they can interact with many more thinkers, many more learned people there, and they can discuss their questions with them, so that they can get answers of their questions about life. So an association of those who left their home used to live in sanghas. So sanghas, basically these were the associations where people used to live at one place, those who left their homes. Vinay Pitaka is the book which includes instructions for the Buddhist Sanghas. There are instructions written for the Buddhist Sanghas, that what rules and regulations used to be followed by the followers of Buddhism, and peoples including Brahmins, Kshatriya, merchants, laborers, barbers, courtesans, children and slaves who engaged with the Sangha led simple lives. They used to live a simple life. They used to live at one place, leaving all the comforts behind. Now they meditated for most of the time and went to cities and villages to beg for food during fixed hours. So the people, the followers, used to live in sanghas, and for their living, to arrange their living, they used to go towards the cities as well as villages. Door to door they used to move, and they used to beg for food as well as for their the items of their daily need. And the hours also in which they need to move from one door to another were fixed that point of time. Okay, they were not allowed every time to go to these areas, but the hours of moving from one place to another or going towards cities or villages was fixed. And most of the time the followers used to meditate in sanghas. They used to meditate so that they can attain enlightenment. That is why they were known as bhikshuk and bhikshunis. Okay, that is why, because they used to beg for their food. That is why they were known as, the male members were known as bhikshus, and the female ones used to be known as bhikshunis. Now, monasteries. During the rainy season, when it was very difficult to travel, only at that time, both Buddhist and Jainism remained in one place. So at this time, they used to remain at one place, because it was during the rainy season, they cannot move out of their places. Okay? So that is why they used to live at one place. Both Jainas and Buddhist monks, these monks used to move from place to place throughout the year, but during this rainy season they used to live at one place, and they used to meditate during that point of time. Many supporters of the monks and nuns and they themselves felt the need for more permanent shelters, and so monasteries were built. So the monks as well as the nuns, those who used to stay in these sanghas, they wanted permanent settlements for themselves. So that is why monasteries were built. Basically, before that, these shelters were known as viharas, and the initial viharas were made of wood and then of bricks. Some of them were even used to be like caves. Okay, like caves, the natural caves, as well as the caves which people used to make while they dug out the earth, and they used to make these kind of caves for themselves. These are basically found in the western part of our country. So the land on which the viharas were built was especially they were donated by rich people, like the merchants, rich merchants, the people those who were owning different land areas, as well as the rulers of that point of time. The local people came with gifts of food, clothing and medicines for the monks and nuns. Now for their daily living they used to beg from door to door, but apart from that, the local people, the people those who were living in these areas, they used to bring many gifts for these nuns and monks. Like they used to bring food for them, they used to bring clothing for them, as well as medicines they used to provide to these monks and nuns. So this is all about this chapter. We'll soon meet with some more interesting chapters in from your history book. Till then, keep learning, keep watching my videos. Do like, share and subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.